Hey, it's Editing Squidgy here. There's been a slight issue with some of the audio in this video. I was recording a live voiceover for the first time and OBS didn't quite cooperate. So there are going to be some stutters here and there, but I hope it doesn't hinder your enjoyment of this video. So let's now get into it. In today's video, we're doing something slightly different. Instead of playing a regular challenge run, we are doing a Nuzlocke with a twist. Because it's Christmas Day, we are going to be getting gifts from all of the gym leaders. They are going to be giving us the Pokemon we can use throughout the course of this challenge, but I'm going to have no idea what the Pokemon are until we get the gift. That's why this one is being done with a live voiceover, and we're going to start with our first gift from Professor Elm. We're going to decline the preview of the starter Pokemon, so now it's a complete mystery as to what we're going to get. Our first choice is whether to go for the left, the middle, or the right ball. Now, I've decided I want to go for the middle like I normally do in these kinds of challenges, and I suppose the first thing we should do is see what we would have got in the left and the right balls. So in the left ball, we have a Smeargle. Quite an interesting Pokemon to run, not a Nuzlocke appropriate Pokemon though, thank goodness. And in the right hand ball we have a Grimer. Definitely not good for Falkner with that Mud Slap, so let's see what we have in the middle. Hopefully it's something better. We've got a Feraligatr. That isn't bad at all. We can probably get through Falkner with rage strategies. So we're going to give it a nickname of Dial, like we did with the original Feraligatr challenge, and we can start making our way out of Elm's lab. And now the first option we're going to be asked here as we're leaving Elm's lab is whether we want to play with a level cap. We do want a level cap in place. That means that we will not be able to level above level 9 before we've defeated Falkner. That's going to give us a little bit of an extra challenge. As always, I'll show you the very first encounter we have with a wild Pokemon. It's a level 2 Pidgey and we knock it out in 2 shots. As you can see on the right hand side of the screen as well, we've got all 16 badges. They are the badges we are going to be getting throughout the course of this challenge, and each of them will correspond to a Pokemon that we will receive. So we're running with just Feraligatr until we get to the end of Falkner's gym. Then Falkner will give us a Pokemon, we'll have that and Feraligatr for Bugsy's gym, and it'll be so on and so forth until we get all the way to Red. And now our first key battle is going to be against the very first rival fight. Because we took the middle ball, he's going to have Chikorita, and that's probably going to be the hardest for Totodile throughout the course of this challenge. So we're going to be using Rage against the Chikorita. It's by far the best move we can use. We've got bags of health and we are able to defeat it very easily there. And we can start heading back towards the lab and naming the rival before heading into Violet City. And now we find ourselves in our first gym together. This is Falkner's flying type gym, so let's see how we get on. This is going to be the first hurdle of this gift lock. So he's starting off with Pidgey, and I think we're going to do the speedrun strategy of using Rage here. So hopefully it'll work out in our favour. We've got bags of health to deal with, and we are able to 3-shot the Pidgeotto. We knock it out, and that's our first badge, the Zephyr badge, acquired. You can see the badge has lit up on the overlay, and that means just one thing: we are about to get our first gift Pokemon from a gym leader. Once we get through the Mud Slap, we are going to see that it is a Pokemon. The suspense is killing me. Let's see what we get. It's a Suicune. That is very, very, very powerful. I am not too happy about the double water type though. That could be a problem later on. So we now need to think of a nickname for Suicune. I'm going to call it Gerbil, because it is part of the legendary Gerbils. And we will then be able to make our way into Violet City Pokemon Center. Now, I do want to say this voiceover is being done entirely live as I'm playing the challenge, so there may be a couple of stumbles that wouldn't be in other pre-recorded videos, but I thought it'd be much more fun to give you the voiceover live and get my genuine reactions. Now, you can see here we've got a candy box. Now, we get the candy box in place of the mystery egg. The candy box is an infinite rare candy, so it'll allow us to level up to the next level cap. This is because this series was initially a stream-only series, and it really does save an awful lot of time. The fun of this one isn't so much the Nuzlocke challenge, it's seeing what we get from the gym leaders. So to save time, we have this candy box which will get us all the way up to the level cap and no further, and now we can start thinking about heading towards Azalea Town, where Bugsy is waiting for us with our next gift Pokemon. And now that we're in Azalea Town, we're ready to take on our next gym leader. This is, of course, Bugsy's Bug-type gym. We'll see just how we get on. I'm leading with Suicune this time. I want to try and vary the Pokemon we have at the front of the party throughout the course of this challenge. And honestly, Suicune's probably going to be a very good shout for this gym. So we are now onto the Scyther. You can see the Scyther outspeeds us. The only thing that would worry us here is if Scyther outsped with a crit. We drop the speed with Bubble Beam, and that means we have defeated Bugsy. We obtain the Hive Badge. We're going to get Fury Cutter as a TM. And then it is time to get our next gift Pokemon. Once again, it just says a Pokemon. Let's see what we get. It's a Magby. It's nice to have something that isn't a water type. Magby's not the greatest, though. We're going to be positive, though. We're going to hope that it does evolve into a Magmar, so we're going to call it Bumhead after the Bumhead Fire Duck, and then we will see exactly what its moves are like. So let's see what we get. Ember, Leah, and Smog. Of course, we can now use the Candy Jar to get us all the way up to level 20, so that's exactly what we'll do. We learn Fire Punch. That's going to be very handy, because of course we have the second rival battle literally just around the corner. So what we're going to do is we get all our Pokemon up to level 20, and then I think we're going to lead with Suicune because we've got Bites for the Ghastly, and then we'll swap into Magby for the Bayleaf that will inevitably come out afterwards. So let's see how we get on now against rival number 2. So of course he is going to lead with Ghastly. That's not great overall, but we can knock it out with a single bite. Here comes the Bayleaf. We'll swap into Bumhead. Reflect goes up, that's fine. Fire Punch is a special move in this generation. Razor Leaf with a crit barely tickles us, and we'll keep on with Bumhead for the Zubat. Second rival battle was fairly easy, and we can make our way into the Ilex Forest. Now, something I haven't touched upon yet is the HM friends. They are getting a rest on Christmas Day. Of course it is Christmas Day, we're giving them a day off, and instead we are getting a bunch of HM items. So once we reunite this Farfetch'd with the Charcoal Maker, you will see that instead of just the cut HM, we are also going to receive a Scythe. Now the Scythe will clear this tree for us, so we don't have to worry about using HMs, so we're not going to get soft locked anywhere. And now very quickly, before we take on Whitney, we're going to go to the game corner, and we're going to get ourselves a Rental Abra. This is instead of the regular Abra that you might buy on a challenge run, and it will do exactly the same as Teleport. So if we use the Rental Abra, we get all the way back to Goldenrod Pokemon Center. So all of the field moves actually have these different items assigned to them, so you're still going to have the same movement in the overworld that you would have in any regular challenge run. The only difference is, instead of Pokemon, it's items that are doing it for you. And now it's time to take on Whitney herself. She is, of course, our third gym leader together. She's a Norm-type specialist who leads with Clefairy. We're going to try Rage strategies against the Clefairy to see if we can build up our Rage enough to take out the Miltank fairly easily. We're doing quite a lot of damage against the Miltank. I don't think Rollout's going to knock out our Feraligatr, so that was a fairly simple Whitney battle. We will have her whinge, and then she'll give us the badge. That will go up on the overlay. And now we're going to be getting our next gift Pokemon. It could be anything. We could get duplicates, so let's see what we end up with. It's a Vileplume. Vileplume's not a bad Pokemon, but of course it is a stone evolution. That means that moves are going to be very, very thin on the ground for Vileplume, so we'll have to see what we can end up doing with it. I reckon it's going to be one that we could save for Kanto. We will take a look and see what moves we've got right now. Sweet Scent is clearly one of them. And the other moves are Absorb, Stun Spore, and Petal Dance. I've got to be honest, that's not a great moveset. So I think Vileplume might be one sitting in the background for now. Stun Spore could be handy, but we'll have to see exactly how we get on later on. I'm going to start heading towards Ecruteak City now, so I will meet you all there, where we're going to take on the rival for a third time. And now we find ourselves in the Burnt Tower, where the rival is going to be ambushing us for a third time. Let's see how we get on. I'm hoping this one won't be too problematic. He's going to lead with Haunter. We've got Surf, obviously, from the Kimono Girls at this point. Magnemite should be another nice and simple one-shot. Bayleaf comes out, and we will swap back to Bumhead. Bumhead is, of course, going to resist the Razor Leaf, and we can critical hit one-shot away. We'll finish off with Bumhead against the Zubat, although he has Supersonic us. I reckon we'll swap to Gerbils in this instance, because we can just finish it off with a nice and simple Surf then. So we didn't have too many issues on the third rival battle. We'll fall through the floor, And now our Gerbils is looking at that Suicune there thinking, who are you? I'm the real Gerbils here. So I'll meet you back in Ecruteak Gym where we're ready to take on Morty. The gym trainers were incredibly uneventful, so now we find ourselves in front of Morty himself. I've decided to lead with Suicune this time because I think Surf's going to be strongest on Suicune. Of course, we don't have to worry about the time factor with the clock, so we can use super effective moves if need be. Now this Haunter, thank goodness that Gengar did not hit Hypnosis there. I was being a little bit risky there, not playing with the Minceberry, but it did all pay off in the end. We get the Fog Badge, and that means we're going to get our next Pokemon. Let's see what we receive. It's a Swinub. Oh no. Swinub isn't great. It's got a lot of weaknesses. We'll give it a nickname anyway. Could come in handy, I suppose, for Lance. But I am not 100% happy with that Swinub, especially because it's going to have a lower attack stat DV because it's female. But we will make do with it. Our level cap is now 30, so we're going to Candy Jar everything again. We'll start off with Piggy the Swinub. We learn Takedown, the terrible move in a Nuzlocke. And it is, of course, around about this time where we will see Bumhead evolve. So Bumhead is going to be our first and only evolution of this challenge so far by the looks of it. We grow to level 30 and Bumhead is going to become the full Bumhead Fire Duck that it's always wanted to be. Now that can be a very powerful Pokemon later on in this challenge. I'm particularly thinking for Jasmine. But in the meantime, we're going to get everyone else up to level 30 as well. And then I'll cross the open seas and I'll meet you back over in Cianwood City. And now we find ourselves in our 5th gym together. This is Chuck's fighting type gym, so we'll see how we get on. We're leading with Gerbils here because I think this is going to be the easiest way to get through the Primeape. I do have a secret weapon for the Poliwrath though. We're going to be trying to use Smelly, because Smelly has Petal Dance and that's going to be super effective. Of course, it doesn't really work out if we end up confused courtesy of Dynamic Punch, but it all worked perfectly in the end. We did waste a Bitterberry, but we got through with no issue whatsoever. Now let's see what our next Pokemon is. We're going to get it as soon as we get Dynamic Punch. It is a Pokemon. It's a Poliwag. We're back to the water types. Goodness sakes. We have a lot of water types on the team at the moment. Poliwag is a very good Pokemon though. And I think it could be an incredibly good backup if we need another water type later on. So we're going to call it Swirly, and we are going to put it in the box, because we are going to need space to get our next Pokemon, which is probably going to be from Jasmine. So I'll tell you what, I'll meet you all back over there when we're ready to get our 6th badge. I did make a very slight mistake at the end of the last clip there. Our next gym leader is actually going to be Price. Before we get to Price though, we have another evolution. Swirly is going to learn Body Slam in place of Double Slap, and then it's going to evolve into a Poliwhirl. So we will be keeping Poliwhirl in the box as our backup water type with hands so it can use Ice Punch, and I'll meet you all for Price's gym. And now we find ourselves in front of Price. He is, of course, our 6th gym leader together. He's an Ice-type specialist, and he's going to lead with Seal. Now, on paper, it looks like I'm doing something silly here, but this Seal does not have any water-type moves whatsoever, and I reckon it's going to be a 2-shot on the Dugong as well, and that means we have a lot of health for the Piloswine. We're going to have a Stab Fire Punch. It does a lot of damage, and that's going to get Price caught in a healing loop, so we'll 2-shot the Piloswine away, and we have defeated Price to obtain the Glacier Badge, and we'll also get our next gift Pokemon. Let's see what we get. It is a Growlithe, so we have another fire type. Thank goodness this one isn't evolved, because it does mean it will have some moves, and we are going to call it Pupper because it is a very, very good Pupper. So we'll have a little look at what it's got, and then we'll make our way towards Jasmine. We are level 31 with 75 HP, that means we've got a fairly low HP DV. Raw, Ember, Leer and Takedown isn't great. Fairly good stats though overall, and we can of course now level up. I've already pre-leveled up the first full Pokemon, but Piggy is going to evolve here at level 33. So it's goodbye to Swinub and hello to Piloswine. Learning Fury Attack? Absolutely not. And then we'll get Piggy all the way up to 35. And I think we're going to learn Flame Wheel with Growlithe at 34. So we'll get rid of Ember and we'll learn Flame Wheel instead. Get Growlithe up to 35. And now I'll see you all in Jasmine's gym. And with that, we're in front of Jasmine. So we've deposited Papa for now because we do need party space to get our next gift Pokemon. We're going to be starting off with Magmar in this battle, and we'll see just how we get on. Of course, Jasmine is very, very weak to fire-type moves, so we'll Fire Punch the Magnemite. We will then go on to the Steelix. Now, Steelix can hit us with Rock Throw, but it goes down in one shot. The second Magnemite is a one-shot as well, and we defeat Jasmine to obtain the Mineral Badge, our 7th badge. She gives us Iron Tail, a TM we'll never use, and let's see what we get. It's a Pokemon. Of course, Jasmine. Of course it's a Magcargo. Why would you bring that Pokemon back? It's been a while since we've seen Magcargo here on the channel. It was a mascot for a little while. It's a female Magcargo. We'll call it Snail. I do have a soft spot for it, but it isn't particularly useful. It did have to come from Jasmine as well. Let's take a look at what it's got. It's Fire Rock, it's Ember, Rock Throw, Harden, and Amnesia. Amnesia's probably the best move there. I will try and get Magcargo into a gym battle at some point. That's all I can say. I don't think it's going to be useful most places, but I will try my best to at least give Magcargo the time in the spotlight. We have a lot of physical defense and not much else. So I've now got a lot of rockets to do, so what I will do is I will deposit Magcargo, and I'll meet you all for the 4th and penultimate rival battle. And now, just before taking on the rival, we are going to get all of our Pokemon up to level 40. There's only one new move in this particular set of candy boxes, and that is Slash on Dial. So now we are ready to take on the 4th and penultimate rival battle. This time the rival is going to be leading with Golbat, so we're going to be leading with Bumhead for this battle. So we'll start off with a Thunder Punch against the Golbat. We knock it out in one shot. He sends out Haunter. We'll use Fire Punch against the Haunter. That's another one shot. Fire Punch is guaranteed one shot on Magnemite. Sneasel Pleasel comes out. Again, another guaranteed one shot. And here comes the Meganium. We take it deep into the red. We don't get paralyzed by Body Slam. And we have a very, very simple rival 4. Right, I've got a lot more rockets to take out in this radio tower, so I'm going to get on with that, and I'll join you all back for Claire's battle. Now, Claire's gym is one I'm not actually that confident about. So what I've done is I've got Poliwhirl out of the box, and I'm going to buy an Evo Stone from Goldenrod Pokemart. It costs 2,100 Pokédollars, and what this will do, if we find it in the bag, is it will cause Swirly to evolve into Politoed. So any trade evolutions will work with this Evo Stone. And Politoed has a lot better special attack than any other Pokemon that can learn an Ice-type move. And now if we combine that with an Ice Punch TM that I did buy earlier on, I'm hoping that this will be enough to see us through Claire. So what we'll do is we'll get rid of Water Gun for Ice Punch, and while we're here we're also going to teach Surf to our Politoed, and hopefully this will give us something. So we're going to teach Surf in place of Body Slam probably, and we'll see just how we get on. So I'll meet you over at Claire, and hopefully this will be the play. Well, there's no time like the present. Let's see how we get on against Claire. I really hope that we're able to one-shot her Dragonair. That would be the best possible outcome here. So we're going to Ice Punch, and no, we don't one-shot. That's a really bad start. Fortunately, we do have a few Pokemon with Ice Punch. That was a critical hit. That's even worse. Let's think, who are we going to be able to swap into? Maybe Piggy, because Thunderbolt will, of course, not hit us effectively at all. We can knock it out with Powder Snow. Out comes the Kingdra. That means she's probably going to go for Surf. So if we go into Smelly, we can try and at least Stun Spore this Kingdra. Didn't affect first time, didn't affect second time. We are losing control of this battle. Kingdra must recharge. Let's try and get a freeze. We have the freeze. We're going to now start slashing all over and just hope it does not defrost. We have a chance here. Not a great chance, but we get through that Kingdra. We just have one more Dragonair left to go. We freeze it and we knock it out, and we have defeated Claire. We are going to have to go through the Dragon's Den challenge to get our next Pokemon, so I am going to meet you there. I am so happy about this battle. So we have got through the Dragon's Den, and we are about to get the Rising Badge, our final Jotonian badge, and we will be able to complete a column on our badge chart. Now, if we leave, we're going to get our next Pokemon. Let's see what we end up getting. Claire's going to have a little bit of a waffle at us first. We don't have room for a Pokemon, so we're going to have to meet Claire back at her gym. If you don't have room in your party, you do have to then deposit a Pokemon to get the next gift. That's what happened there. It was a bit of an oversight on my part, but let's now see what we end up with. It's a Doduo. I really like this line, so we're going to call it Borb, and then we will start making our way towards the Pokemon League. And now, just before we enter the Pokemon League, we've got the rival for one last time. He's leading with Sneasel Pleasel, which is why we've got the Bumhead up front. We knock it out in one shot with Fire Punch. Don't have anything great for the Golbat, so we're going to use a combination of Fire Punches to knock it out in two. We'll keep on with the Bumhead for the Horn, so we take it deep into the red on our first Fire Punch, and we knock it out on our second. Kadabra comes out to play. We don't have anything too great for Kadabra on the Bumhead, but I'm hoping he's going to use Future Sight, because that's then a nice and simple two-shot. We get the option to learn Flamethrower. Absolutely, yes, please. We definitely want Flamethrower. We're going to test it out against Magneton. It's a one-shot wonder. We get hit by Future Sight, but Flamethrower takes out the Meganium. And we are through the rival for the last time, and we can head in to the Pokemon League. So the first thing we'll do is heal up whether we need to or not. And I'm now going to take a little bit of time to think before going into the league. So I'll catch you back here with our party and our moves before we try and get through all 5 of the trainers. Our party definitely isn't the strongest it could be, but it's still fairly good. I've decided to lead with Bulb for this one. We are going to evolve into a Dodrio and get ourselves to level 42. And also we need to get Gerbils to level 42 as well. We're going to learn Aurora Beam, which we'll replace Gust with on our Gerbils. And with that, we've got all of our Pokemon at level 42. So let's go through them all. We are starting off with Borb, the Dodrio, with Tri-Attack, Rage, Drill Peck, and Agility. We've got Swirly, the Politoed, with Hypnosis, Ice Punch, Surf, and Rain Dance. We've got Smelly, the Vileplume, with Absorb, Sweet Scent, Stun Spore, and Petal Dance, still rocking its initial learn set there. We've got Gerbils, the Suicune, with Pink Bow, a Surf, Aurora Beam, Bite, and Rain Dance. We've got Dial, the Feraligatr, with Ice Punch, Surf, Earthquake, and Slash. And finally, we've got Bumhead the Magmar with Flamethrower, Sunny Day, Smog, and Thunder Punch. They're the Pokemon we're going with into the league. We'll see how we get on. And very quickly before we enter the league, I have changed my mind. We're leading with Feraligatr instead. I reckon Ice Punch is going to be one of the best ways to get through this first Xatu. We just got to hope we don't get confused. We did end up confused. We've hit ourselves in confusion. And a critical hit. It's the worst possible start to this battle. Let's swap into Gerbils now and see if we can do any better now. We don't get a Spadef drop and Aurora Beam knocks it out. Here comes Executor. We're going to risk Aurora Beam. Reflect is fine by us. We can two-shot the Executor. And the next Pokemon is Jinx. We've got Bite for the Jinx. We're just going to make her flinch. Double Slap's going to do next to nothing. We knock it out. And here comes a Slowbro. We're going to keep nibbling away at the Slowbro as it raises its special defense. Psychic's not going to hit us too hard at all, and we can get through it. That just leaves the last Xatu left to go. It's going to be a two-shots with Aurora Beam as we drop down to 19, but that is Will all defeated, and our level cap has increased. And with that increase in level cap, we can get ourselves up to level 44. So we'll do that for all of our Pokemon, and then we'll do a cheeky little heal with some full restores to make sure that we have the best opportunities to get through the rest of this league. That Will battle was particularly hairy, but I'm hoping that will be the worst that we have. So let's now use our full restores on Gerbils and Dial, and we'll see how we get on against Koga. Koga's going to be our second league member. Koga is, of course, our second league member, a poison-type specialist who leads with Ariados, and that's why I've decided to go for the Bumhead up front. Should give us a nice and simple one-shot to get us started. Fortress is next, that's 4 times weak to fire, so that's a very nice, simple battle. And now we'll use one Flamethrower against the Muck. He's used Acid Armor, so we can try another. Toxic's bad, but we can knock it out in 3. Here comes Crobat. We are going to swap out now, probably to Dial, I reckon is going to be the best option here. Double Team is fine, as long as we don't get poisoned. We've frozen the Crobat. That is really good, but remember... Oh, we've frozen it again, never mind. I was going to say remember the Double Team, but that didn't come into play at all. We'll use a neutral Earthquake against the Venomoth as Psychic hits us for negligible damage, and Koga was a very, very easy battle. So we've only got a couple of full restores to use this time, one on Dial, and do we have a full heal for the Bumhead? Yes we do, and that means we can make our way up to Bruno. And now, just before taking on Bruno, I'm deciding to lead with our Feraligatr, and also we can now level up to 46 on everybody. So we'll do that, and then we'll see how we get on against Bruno. I don't think we're going to learn any new moves, although I am always happy to be surprised. We've got one more Pokemon left to go, no new moves. I'm deciding to lead with Feraligatr for this battle. That's so that we can use Earthquake against the Hitmontop. It's a nice and guaranteed one-shot once we do it. So he digs a hole, we'll use Earthquake, and we knock it out in 1. And here comes Hitmonchan. We'll continue using Earthquake. Thunder Punch is the worst he can do. It didn't paralyze us, and that brings us on to Hitmonlee. Double Kick does a little bit of damage, but we'll finish it off with 2 Earthquakes. Now, we don't have anything great from Machamp, and Cross Chop is going to hit like a truck. So I was fishing for a freeze there, it didn't happen, and that means we're going to have to switch. I think we'll switch into Smelly to begin with as we get critical hit. I want to try and paralyze this thing, but instead we're flinching. We have now paralyzed the Machamp though, and that means we'll swap into Gerbils. We'll set up a Rain Dance. Cross Chop hits us for a little bit of damage. Misclick there, but he's fully paralysed. And now hopefully we can finish it off with a couple more Surfs. So 1 Surf, 2 Surfs, we knock it out. And then we can finish off the Onix with 1 last Surf. And we are through Bruno, and we can move on to Karen. And of course, before we take on Karen herself, we do get to use the Candy Box to make our way up just 1 more level. Screech could be interesting, but I like the moves we have on Dial. Swirly's not going to learn anything, Smelly won't learn anything, Bumhead doesn't learn anything, Gerbils also doesn't learn anything, and neither does Borb. So now let's heal up our Pokemon, because goodness me, they need it after that one, and then we can start thinking about how we're going to take on Karen. Now, Karen is the one I am most terrified of in the league. So I'm going to take a little bit of time to think, and I'll get back to you when I've got a solution. I've been racking my brains for a little while for Karen, and the best I've come up with is leading with Bird and hoping that we get some kind of status condition with Tri-Attack. So we'll see how we get on. We have been Sand Attack, so the HP up trick didn't work. The Bitter Berry that we were holding has kicked in though, and we're going to take some damage from Feint Attack. That brings us on to Gengar. We'll swap into Dial and hope that we have a free switch here. We will use Earthquake as it licks us and ends up paralysing us. That's not a good place to be in. But that does mean we can free switch into Bumhead against the Vileplume. We'll finish it off with a single Flamethrower, and out next is Murkrow. We'll Flamethrower the Murkrow as Feint Attack deals a little bit of damage. She's only got a Houndoom left now. We've got plenty of water types. In fact, part of the reason why I came into the league with so many water types is just for this Karen battle. Because if we survive with just 1 or 2 water types left, then we're absolutely fine for Lance, hopefully. So we are going to have to swap into Gerbils now just to finish off this Houndoom, because I want to take no risks whatsoever. We get Houndoom deep into the red, we knock it out on our second turn, and we are through Karen without losing any Pokemon at all. So let's now heal up our party, because goodness me, they took a bit of a battering against Karen. We've got a lot of full restores in our bag though, just for this kind of situation, and we will use pretty much all of them with all of our team. We do get to Candy Box 1 last time, all the way up to level 50 before Lance. Dial's not learning any new moves, neither is Gerbils. Let's use the Candy Box on Bumhead once again. Actually, we do have a move this time, Confuse Ray. We'll get rid of Smog, it's a dead move on the learn set, not that Bumhead's going to see much action in the Lance battle. Smelly's not going to learn anything at all. Swirly probably won't learn anything, and finally we've got Borb. So I think what we're going to do for the Lance fight is we're going to lead with Gerbils. Gerbils definitely has the biggest bulk behind us, and we've got 3 water Pokemon all with an ice type move, so we should do fairly well here against Lance. So we'll now engage him in battle and see just how we get on. There's no time like the present, it's time for Lance the Liar with the Flyers, and he's going to lead with Gyarados. Gyarados isn't a great Pokemon to go up against because we've not got anything too great for it. We will use Aurora Beam and hope that we can just power our way through. Hyper Beam's not too bad for us, we can get through the Gyarados. That was probably the hardest Pokemon of this entire battle. Interestingly, we don't one-shot the Dragonites with Gerbils, so that does throw a little bit of a spanner in the works. We'll try again against this Dragonite. Thunder Wave has paralysed us, but that means he's less likely to go for Thunder Wave this time. We'll swap into Swirly. Hyper Beam hits us fairly hard, but that means we get a free KO at the end. The third Dragonite comes out. Hyper Beam has knocked out Swirly. Oh no. We are now one Pokemon down, but we still have plenty of Pokemon left to go against Lance. He's going to get knocked out with 2 further Ice Punches. Out comes the Charizard. We've got Surf for the Charizard. We'll take it deep into the red. We'll finish it off on turn number 2. The last Pokemon is Aerodactyl. He's not gone for Rock Slide. We finish it off, but we have, of course, lost our Politoed. One loss through to the end of the league, though, is not the worst thing that could ever happen. Now, that does mean we are halfway through our quest to defeating Red here on Christmas Day. We do have another 8 gym badges plus the Red fight left to come. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through all of the Kanto section, all of the storyline, and then I'll do all of the gym leaders in one big bulk. So don't you dare go anywhere. Kanto is next. And now, just before we get into Kanto, there is of course one thing we need to do. We need to say thank you to our Politoed. You did us so well in the battles you were in, but unfortunately you've got to be released. We did lose you in the Lance fight, so we're going to say goodbye to Politoed. And now I'm going to get myself on a boat. I'm going to clear through all of the Kanto section, and I'll meet you outside our first Kantonian gym. I'm currently making my way through Kanto, getting all of the areas unlocked, but I thought it'd be nice to say Happy Christmas to 3Drill. He's going to give us some nice experience with his 3B drill. We'll let him off light on the first turn by using Ice Punch before Surf. I doubt we're going to take any damage at all from him, but 3Drill, I hope you have a wonderful holiday season. I'm looking forward to catching up with you in the new year. And now we are ready to take on our first Kantonian gym together. I'm starting off easy with Janine, so let's see how we get on. I reckon this should be a fairly clean sweep against Janine. She's going to lead with Crobat. We'll use Surf against Crobat to take it deep into the red. We are going to have to do a switch here, though. We'll switch into the Bumhead because she's got a lot of bug types on her team. She sends out Weezing next. Flamethrower more than capably one-shots that. It's going to be the same against the second Weezing. And then the final 2 Pokemon should be no issue whatsoever. Now, the Kantonian gym leaders are going to give us gifts as well, so we can start to replenish our party. So we've defeated Janine, we've got the Soul Badge, and we will now see what our next gift is. So our next Pokemon is a Vaporeon. So we now have Vaporeon back. We have another water type back on the team. We're going to call it Rainer, just like our Zero Resets Vaporeon from earlier on in the year. We are, however, going to deposit Vaporeon because we need the space to get our next gift from our next gym leader. So it's short but sweet for Rainer for now, and now let's head on to our next gym together. Because we're fairly close and we have a lot of water types, we might as well take on Blaine next. Blaine's not going to be any issue whatsoever. There's another Magcargo. We will still try and get Magcargo into the party at some point. We'll finish off the Magcargo with Surf. I misclicked on Ice Beam first time. We'll use Surf against the Magmar as well, and now the final Pokemon is Rapidash. It's going to be a one-shot with Surf. That gives us our next gift Pokemon after we have obtained the Volcano Badge, and now the next Pokemon is a Rhyhorn. Rhyhorn could be very handy for Red. I'm going to call it Rhino this time. I'm really imaginative with my names, I know. But once again, it probably will have to go in the box for now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the air balloon to make our way into Pewter City. We will deposit Rhino in the box because I reckon that Brock will be the next gym leader we take on. We might as well take on the gym leaders where we have the big type advantage at first. So I've got to get through one mandatory trainer and then I'll meet you at Brock. I doubt we're going to have any issues at all here at Brock. He is one of the weaker Kantonian gym leaders, and if you go in with a water-type Pokemon, you're pretty much guaranteed to win. So we'll one-shot the Graveler, then we'll move on to Earthquake for the Kabutops. Critical hit knocks it out in one, and here comes Omastar. We'll continue Earthquaking, and we knock it out in one again. That just leaves 2 Pokemon left to go. We'll Surf against the Onix. Here comes Rhyhorn. It would have been nice to get Rhyhorn from Brock, but instead we are going to find out what we're getting from Brock. That's the Boulder Badge acquired, and now we get our next Pokemon. It is a Golem, so we are sticking with the rock grounds 2 in a row. We're going to call this one Ball because I can't think of anything else off the top of my head, and that means we have 2 rock grounds for Red. The next gym leader I'm deciding to take on is Erica. She's of course a grass type specialist and we still have Bumhead in our party. That should make this a very simple battle. I have deposited Golem just for now so that we can get our next gift Pokemon, but it's around about this time I'm starting to think of what the final party might be for Red. I've not quite settled on it yet because of course we still have another few Pokemon left to receive. We've got the Rainbow Badge though, we're going to get Giga Drain, which we will probably teach to our Vileplume, and now our next Pokemon is a Scyther. Scyther's a very, very handy Pokemon to have. We're going to call it Scissor. I think that would be a very nice nickname for a Scyther. Of course we are going to have to box it for now, just so that we can receive our next gift Pokemon. So I'll go and do that and I'll meet you in front of our next gym leader. I've decided to take on Misty next. She's probably the easiest of the gym leaders we've got remaining. We're going to start with, of course, our Vileplume. We're going to take some damage from Psychic, but we'll regain it all thanks to Giga Drain. Quagsires are guaranteed one-shots, and here comes Lapras. Lapras has a chance to use Blizzard. As long as it doesn't freeze, we should be okay. We're on 67 health for the Starmie. Ice Beam hits, we survive on one, we knock it out, we regain all of that health, and we have defeated Misty, and we have attained the Cascade Badge. Let's see what our next Pokemon is going to be. It is a Sunflora. Right, okay, that's a Stone Evo, and it's probably not going to have many moves at all. Still, it could come in handy, we never know. But what I'm now going to do is I'm going to deposit this Sunflora and we'll make our way to our next gym together. Up next is Lieutenant Surge, and it's a warm welcome to the party to Golem. Golem's probably going to be one of our best Pokemon we could use here against Lieutenant Surge, because he's not going to have much, if anything at all, to hit us with. So we'll one-shot the Raichu, out comes Electabuzz, Quick Attack's going to do next to nothing, and the third Pokemon is Electrode. The worst that can happen now is we miss a couple of Earthquakes courtesy of Double Team, so one shot on the Magneton and the final Pokemon is another Electrode. We hit all of our Earthquakes, it was a clean sweep and a very warm welcome to the party for Golem. We get the Thunder Badge and let's now see what we get as our gift. We receive a Zapdos. How very appropriate, Surge. Zapdos could come in very handy, you know. We'll call it Buzzed, like I think we called our initial Zapdos video Pokemon. And now what I'll do is I'll deposit one of these Pokemon and we'll make our way over to Sabrina. Sabrina's one of those leaders where I think we're just going to have to brute force it and hope for the best. So I've decided to lead with Gerbils here, and that's just because we've got Bite. I'm hoping that Bite will see us through this along with our very high special defense. It's a two-shot on the Espeon, it's a two-shot on Mr. Mime as well. Here comes Alakazam. We bite it to take it deep into the red. We get through on our second turn. And this is our penultimate badge, and we're going to get our penultimate Pokemon. Let's see what we receive as our second to last Pokemon. A Kadabra. Okay, Sabrina has once again followed the trend of giving us Pokemon appropriate to their gym leaders. I'm not quite sure if we've got any use for the Kadabra, but we will call it Magic, because that did seem like a little stroke of magic there. And that means we've only got Blue left to go. Now, before taking on Blue, I have made my way back to Goldenrod City. That's so that we can use the move tutor. We're going to teach Ice Beam to our Gerbils. I think Aurora Beam has served its purpose, and Ice Beam is going to be a much better move to have at this point in the challenge. And it's also a bit of a gamble bringing in a new Pokemon so late, but I'm going to teach Thunderbolts to our Zapdos. That's going to give us something super effective against two of Red's Pokemon. So we will use Thunderbolt as our last tutor move. That's all we can afford. And now we have no option to stop procrastinating. We'll meet you at Blue. Right, so this is our final gym together. This is, of course, Blue's gym. We're going to swap Buzzed up to front here. And now let's see how we get on. I'm not 100% confident about this battle, but the worst we can do is give it a go. This is Blue, our final gym leader, and he's going to lead, of course, with Pidgeot. That's why we've got Buzzed up front, because I think that's going to give us our best shot of knocking it out in one. Rhydon comes out next. Now, we don't have anything great for Rhydon with Pidgeot, but we can swap to Gerbils. Fury Attack hits us very lightly, and we'll finish it off with a Surf. Up next is Executor. Now, we don't have anything great on gerbils for Executor, barring Ice Beam. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to swap back to Buzz, and we're going to use Drill Peck. Solar Beam hits us with a critical hit, but it doesn't do too much damage. He's getting himself caught in a little bit of a healing loop, so we'll knock it out in a further 2. And the next Pokemon is Alakazam. It's back to gerbils for Alakazam, I reckon. Psychic hits us slightly hard, but it's not the worst in the world. He swaps to Reflect. He's going to get caught in a bit of a recover loop now, so we can just keep nibbling away at him, and eventually we will get the KO. It's not going to be quick, but it will get the job done. He's got far fewer recovers than we've got bites, and I really want to play this as safe as possible. He's starting to get a little bit on my nerves now, though. There we go, it has finally gone down. Gyarados is out next. We'll try an Ice Beam just to see how we get on. Hyper Beam hits us very hard, but that is a free swap into Buzz. We can then finish the Gyarados off with a Thunderbolt, and that just leaves Arcanine left to go. We've got plenty of water types on the team for Arcanine, so we'll just use a single Surf on our dial to finish him off, and that is our final gym badge acquired. Earth badge acquired, and one last Pokemon. It's a Quagsire. So we'll call it Quaggy, as my voice is slowly starting to go. And now, we've only got one more battle left to go, so I'll unlock Mount Silver and I'll meet you all at Red. So it has all boiled down to this. 16 gift Pokemon plus the one we got from Professor Elm. It's time for our final battle with Red. I'm leading with Ball, let's see how we get on. I'm not overly confident that Ball's going to survive the start of this battle, but I think Earthquake is our best shout against the Pikachu. Even with Charm, we knock it out in 1. Now, Espeon's our first big threat of this battle. We're going to swap into gerbils for this, so we can at least start nibbling away at it. We are outspeeding and we make it flinch. Psychic hits us fairly lightly, actually, and that brings us on to Venusaur. Now, what I'm hoping for here is a sunny day, because we're swapping into Bumhead. That is fantastic for us, because Venusaur has just outplayed itself. Here comes Blastoise. The sun is strong, which is good for us in some ways, but it does mean he's likely to use Blizzard instead, unless he goes for Rain Dance. I'm going to risk it and swap into Buzz. He goes for Rain Dance. That is great. Of course he was going to do that. We are worthy Fire type. We'll use Thunderbolts here. We knock it out in one shot, and here comes Snorlax. Snorlax is not going to be a huge threat apart from that paralysis. I do want to get a light screen up just in case of special moves. Body Slam does paralyze our Buzz, but I don't know if we're going to need Buzz for much more of this battle. Let's think, who should we swap into? We'll swap into Dial here. Body Slam doesn't paralyze us. We do, of course, have the Rain Dance up. We critical hit. And up next is Charizard. Charizard's a one-shot, and that was it. Red is defeated. I thought we had another Pokemon left to go. That was very, very simple. Quite a shock, to be honest, at the end of that battle. But that does conclude our gift lock. A little bit shorter than I expected at the end there. I'm still a little bit in shock. But I really hope you've enjoyed this one. And just before we cut to the end screen, I want to say thank you all so much for your support, especially during this year. It has been a tricky year in places for me, as I'm sure you're all more than aware of now. But it has been great to be back. So I wish you all nothing but health and happiness for this holiday season. And I look forward to seeing you not only for the rest of the videos we've got this year, but into 2025 as well. So there's only one thing left for me to say, and that is, we're done. So I really hope you've enjoyed this one. If you have, make sure to leave it a like. If you've got any feedback, leave it in the comments down below. If you want to see more videos just like this, make sure to subscribe. And until next time, when it's Arctozolt in Pokemon Crystal, I'll say thank you all so much for watching, and have a very happy Christmas.